The crowd is watching you. Your co-workers, your rivals, even strangers on the street. Every move you make tells them if you're strong or if you're prey. Machiavelli discovered 9 fatal mistakes that turn powerful men into fools. And the terrifying part, almost everyone makes them. Do you? Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel. Niccolo Machiavelli. Power doesn't collapse in a single moment. It crumbles quietly, through slips, through cracks, through careless mistakes made in front of others. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew public life is not neutral. It is a stage, a theater of perception. And in that theater, you are either feared or forgotten. Most people sabotage themselves, not on battlefields, but in daily life, in meetings, arguments, conversations, even in casual gestures. And they never realize the damage until it's too late. That's why today we reveal 9 fatal mistakes Machiavelli warned you must never make in public. Mistakes that destroy reputations and hand your enemies the blade. Before we begin, subscribe to Ruthless Psychology, the community for those who dare to see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. Because in the game of power, ignorance is suicide. The first fatal mistake, revealing emotion. We live in a culture obsessed with authenticity. Be real, they say. Be vulnerable. But Machiavelli would laugh at this weakness. He knew one truth. Emotion in public is not admired. It is dissected, stored, and weaponized. When you cry, they don't see pain. They see opportunity. When you rage, they don't hear justice. They hear instability. When you panic, they don't offer help. They smell blood. Public life is not a safe space. It is a coliseum. And in the coliseum, you are either the beast that terrifies or the broken man in chains. Shock story. In 1972, U.S. presidential candidate Edmund Muskie teared up while defending his wife from attacks in the press. Reporters labeled it a breakdown. His rivals didn't hear love, they saw weakness. His campaign collapsed within weeks. One moment of emotion, a lifetime of regret. Machiavelli's solution? Become unreadable. A mask. A fortress. The stoic who reveals nothing. The man no one can quite figure out. When pressure hits, will you be the beast or the bleeding man? The second fatal mistake. Arguing loudly. Volume is not victory. The moment your voice rises, you've already surrendered control. The loud man is trying to prove himself. The powerful man doesn't need to. Picture this. 2 executives clash. One shouts, red in the face, pounding the table. The other waits in silence, then delivers one calm line that cuts deeper than 10 minutes of yelling. Who wins the room? Who is respected after the meeting ends? Machiavelli would remind us, a prince never explains himself to those beneath him. Shock story. Richard Nixon, in his famous debates, sometimes let anger slip through. Each time, his opponent appeared calmer, and the public shifted loyalty. His paranoia and outbursts later, caught on tape, destroyed him. Not because his enemies beat him, because his voice betrayed him. Cinematic beat. Silence terrifies, because in silence they project their fears, and fear is power. Do you want to win the argument or win the audience watching it? The third fatal mistake, displaying desperation. Nothing repels more than neediness. And the worst part? The desperate man can't smell his own stench. In dating, the one who begs for attention loses it. In business, the one who needs the deal never gets it. In politics, the one who pleads for loyalty is already abandoned. Machiavelli's prince may face rebellion, bankruptcy, betrayal, but his posture remains calm, his voice steady, his eyes unreadable. This isn't arrogance, it's survival. Shock story. In 2017, Uber CEO Travis Kalanick was caught on video begging, arguing, and snapping at a driver who questioned him. The clip went viral. Overnight, the image of a visionary founder was replaced by that of a desperate man clinging to control. Within months, he was forced out of the company he built. Desperation didn't save him. It destroyed him. Cinematic beat. Confidence attracts, even when faked. Desperation repels, even when real. Who holds more power, the one who begs to be chosen or the one who acts as if he could walk away? The fourth fatal mistake: over-flattery. Some believe praise buys loyalty. That compliments win friends. That endless admiration earns allies. But in the theater of power, the flatterer is never respected. He is tolerated, suspected, and mocked. Excessive flattery lowers your worth. It screams, "I need your approval," and the man who seeks approval has already surrendered authority. Shock story. At the court of Louis XIV, flattery was an art form. Courtiers drowned the king in praise, hoping for favor. Most became forgettable sycophants. The few who rose in power were those who used flattery sparingly, a single compliment delivered like a dagger in velvet. Rare, precise, unforgettable. Cinematic beat. One compliment can forge loyalty. 10 can destroy it. Are you the one praising the king, or the one standing beside him as an equal? The pattern emerging. Look closely. Each mistake is rooted in the same disease: loss of control. Lose control of emotion, you are prey. Lose control of voice, you are mocked. Lose control of need, you are discarded. Lose control of dignity, you are forgotten. And Machiavelli's timeless truth is this: the man who cannot control himself will never control others. In the next part, we'll uncover 3 more mistakes. Ones that corrode your reputation through pride, humor, and reckless openness. Mistakes that don't just weaken you, they mark you for destruction. The 5th fatal mistake: public criticism. Public criticism feels righteous, bold, powerful, but Machiavelli warned, this is a declaration of war, and wars fought in public rarely end on your terms. When you humiliate a man before others, you don't just bruise him, you plant a seed, the seed of vengeance, and pride never forgets. Shock story. In 2009, Steve Jobs publicly mocked a small competitor during a keynote. The company's CEO smiled on stage, but later poured everything into revenge. That competitor, Dropbox. Jobs dismissed them. They didn't disappear, they thrived, and today their name outlives Apple's own cloud failures. Public criticism created not a victory, but an enemy for life. Cinematic beat. He smiled, he nodded, and inside he swore revenge. The crowd doesn't remember your logic, they remember your cruelty, and they wonder, will I be next? Machiavelli's law is clear. Destroy in private, whisper doubts, plant rumors, withdraw support silently. Let others reach the judgment on their own. The quiet assassin outlives the loud judge. Think back. Do you still remember the sting of being humiliated in public? That memory is the revenge Machiavelli warned about. The 6th fatal mistake: chasing laughter. To be the funniest in the room feels intoxicating. The laughter feels like approval, acceptance, even admiration. But Machiavelli understood. The clown is loved but never feared, and a man who is not feared will never hold power. Shock story. Nero, the Roman emperor, fancied himself an entertainer. He performed songs, demanded applause, chased laughter from the crowd. His enemies didn't take him seriously. They conspired, mocked, and eventually destroyed him. Rome did not remember him as a ruler. They remembered him as a joke. When you leave the room, do they laugh because they respect you or because you made yourself a clown? Every joke reveals too much. Every punchline opens a crack in your armor, a fragment of truth, a glimpse of insecurity, and predators notice. Cinematic beat, they laugh, but not with you, at you. True leaders don't chase applause. They create silence. They make the room lean forward, not fall back in laughter. A rare, sharp remark cuts deeper than 10 jokes. And when your words are scarce, they carry weight. The seventh fatal mistake, oversharing your life. We live in an age of confession, social media, interviews, late-night oversharing sessions. People spill heartbreaks, regrets, ambitions. But Machiavelli would sneer. He knew this truth. What you reveal today becomes the weapon used against you tomorrow. Shock story. In 2011, Congressman Anthony Weiner overshared his private life online. What began as openness spiraled into scandal. Screenshots spread like wildfire. His career was reduced to ridicule. Oversharing didn't create trust. It created humiliation. Cinematic beat. Your pain is not sacred. It's content. Colleagues who nod sympathetically. Today? Tomorrow they whisper your story at lunch. A partner who once admired your honesty? Tomorrow they lose respect. Because the more familiar you become, the less value you hold. Machiavelli said it best. Familiarity breeds contempt. Do you control your story, or do you hand your enemies the script? A prince wears a mask in public. He does not show his scars. He does not overshare his wounds. He shows strength, mystery, and silence, because secrecy breeds fear, and fear breeds respect. The pattern sharpening. Now the picture is darker. Public criticism doesn't win battles. It breeds revenge. Jokes don't build loyalty. They destroy respect. Oversharing doesn't create connection. It hands over weapons. Cinematic beat. The crowd doesn't want your truth. They want your weakness. Don't give it to them. Which of these mistakes do you see most in others? And which one do you secretly see in yourself? The momentum of decline. These mistakes rarely come alone. One triggers another. A man who overshares becomes the clown. The clown is mocked. The mocked man lashes out with public criticism, and the cycle spirals down. This is why Machiavelli's rules are merciless, because once the cycle begins, your throne doesn't just wobble, it collapses. Cinematic beat, not with a bang, with a whisper, with a laugh, with a rumor, and by the time you notice, it's already over. Toward the final two, we have now uncovered 7 fatal mistakes. Each one chips away at control, authority, and mystery. But the last 2? They are subtler, more seductive, and more devastating than all the rest. One mistake provokes envy so deep it breeds assassination. The other mistake surrenders your authority before you even open your mouth. Avoid them, and you remain untouchable. Commit them, and you may never recover. The 8th fatal mistake, flaunting wealth. Many men believe that showing off success proves dominance. They flash cars, watches, designer suits, Instagram lifestyles. They think envy equals power. But Machiavelli knew better. Flaunting wealth doesn't inspire admiration. It breeds resentment, silent, cold, deadly. Shock story. Marie Antoinette threw lavish parties and flaunted jewels while her people starved. The crowds did not love her sparkle. They sharpened their blades. One day, she stepped onto a stage, not to be adored, but to face the guillotine. Arrogance doesn't buy safety. It paints a target. Cinematic beat. Admiration fades. Envy plots, and envy waits. Machiavelli's law is clear. Let others suspect your fortune. Never parade it. True power hums quietly. It doesn't scream. The subtle man intrigues. The loud man provokes enemies. When you display your wealth, are you truly admired or silently despised? The 9th fatal mistake, losing control of presence. Even before you speak, you're already judged. Your walk, your stillness, your breath, your gaze all reveal strength or weakness. A trembling voice, a darting eye, a slouched posture, these betray you louder than words. The crowd forgets your message. They remember your insecurity. Shock story. In 1988, U.S. presidential candidate Michael Dukakis faced a debate question about his wife being hypothetically assaulted. He answered with icy words but lifeless presence. No emotion, no gravity, no command. Voters saw not strength, but hollowness. His campaign collapsed, not because of policy, but because of presence. Cinematic beat. Your body is your crown. Lose it, and the throne is gone. Great rulers knew this. Roman emperors, samurai lords, modern generals, they understood that calm stillness terrifies more than frantic noise. Presence bends reality. Composure infects others with belief. Look, when you enter a room, do people rise to your gravity or breathe easier because you pose no threat? The web of 9 laws. Now the circle is complete. You've seen all 9 fatal mistakes. Together, they weave a web that strangles authority. Reveal emotion. You are predictable. Argue loudly. You look weak. Show desperation. You lose leverage. Overflatter. You look like a servant. Criticize publicly. You plant enemies. Chase laughter. You lose respect. Overshare. You lose mystery. Flaunt wealth. You invite envy. Lose presence. You forfeit command. Cinematic beat. Each mistake is a crack. Each crack invites the dagger, and the dagger never misses. Which of these 9 mistakes is silently sabotaging you right now? The Colosseum of modern life. In Machiavelli's time, the Colosseum was a crowd in the square. Today, it's the entire digital world. Every slip is recorded, every weakness is replayed, every crack in composure becomes viral humiliation. Shock story. In 2017, Pepsi released an ad featuring Kendall Jenner trying to appear socially aware. Instead, it was mocked worldwide. A single tone-deaf gesture destroyed credibility. Billions saw it. Overnight, Pepsi became a punchline, not because of product quality, but because perception collapsed. Cinematic beat. The crowd is watching. The crowd is judging. The crowd never forgets. The weak complain about fairness. The strong master the theater. The Machiavellian bends perception until it serves him. Toward the ideal Machiavellian. The man who avoids these 9 mistakes is protected. The man who weaponizes them is feared. Unreadable, silent, indifferent, precise, calculated, dignified, mysterious, subtle, commanding. Such a man cannot be mocked, cannot be manipulated, cannot be ignored. He doesn't beg, he doesn't brag, he doesn't flinch. He observes, he withholds, he controls. Would you rather be truly strong or appear so strong that no one dares to test you? What comes next? Now you know the 9 mistakes. You see how they corrode power. But Machiavelli didn't write just for survival. He wrote for domination, for legacy, for immortality. In the next part, we'll reverse these 9 mistakes into 9 weapons. You'll see how to not only shield yourself, but strike, to command rooms, crush rivals, and carve your name into history. Because avoiding mistakes keeps you alive, but strategy makes you unforgettable. From shield to sword, avoiding mistakes keeps you alive, but survival is not power. Survival is waiting to die later. Machiavelli didn't write for survivors. He wrote for rulers, for predators, for those who turn weakness into weapons. Now it's time to flip the 9 mistakes into 9 tools of domination. Weapon 1, the mask of emotion. If emotion exposes you, then concealment terrifies. Shock story. Vladimir Putin once sat through a 3-hour meeting while rivals tried to provoke him. He barely moved. No smiles, no frowns, just stillness. By the end, they weren't sure if he was bored or plotting their destruction. That uncertainty? It was power. Cinematic beat. A blank face is a loaded gun. Do you want people to read you, or fear they can't? Weapon 2. Silence as a sword. Shouting proves desperation. Silence proves dominance. Shock story. In 1960, during the Nixon-Kennedy debates, Kennedy often paused deliberately, letting silence hang. Nixon rushed to fill gaps with nervous words. Kennedy didn't need to win every point. He let Nixon defeat himself. Cinematic beat. Words reveal. Silence crushes. Would you rather win the argument or win the room watching it? Weapon 3. Indifference. Desperation chases people away. Indifference pulls them closer. Shock story. In 2018, Elon Musk walked away from a lucrative deal on live television, saying simply, "I don't care about the money." The stock dipped for a day, then surged. Why? Investors sensed a man untethered to desperation. Indifference became gravity. Cinematic beat. Need pushes. Indifference pulls. Who holds more power? The one begging to stay or the one ready to walk away? Weapon 4. Precision compliments. Over-flattery makes you a clown, but rare sharp praise disarms even enemies. Shock story. Julius Caesar praised his rival Pompey in public speeches even while plotting against him. That single thread of respect delayed suspicion until Caesar struck and seized Rome. Compliments can be daggers in disguise. Cinematic beat. One word at the right moment can chain a man for life. Mini hook. Are your compliments currency or chains? Weapon 5. Private destruction. Public criticism breeds rebellion, but private corrosion breaks men silently. Shock story. Cardinal Richelieu, the power behind the French throne, rarely humiliated enemies in public. Instead, he whispered doubts into the king's ear, isolating rivals until they vanished. No scandals, no scenes, just erasure. Cinematic beat, no noise, no blood, just absence. Mini hook. Is it better to defeat your rival loudly or make them disappear quietly? Weapon 6. Dignified speech. Clowns chase laughter. Leaders command silence. Shock story. Margaret Thatcher was mocked early in Parliament for her high-pitched voice. She trained herself to speak lower, slower, with iron control. Within years, her speeches silenced entire rooms. They didn't laugh anymore. They obeyed. Cinematic beat. One joke entertains. One command endures. Mini hook. Do they laugh when you speak or lean in to hear every word? Weapon 7. The aura of mystery. Oversharing dissolves power. Mystery multiplies it. Shock story. The Rothschild family never revealed the full extent of their fortune. Rumors filled the gaps. Some thought they controlled kings, others entire wars. The truth mattered less than the aura. Secrecy built a myth bigger than reality. Cinematic beat. Tell them nothing. Make them imagine everything. Mini hook. Would you rather be explained or whispered about? Weapon 8. Subtle success. Show off wealth, you breed envy. Let others discover it quietly, you breed legend. Shock story. Warren Buffett lives in the same modest house he bought in 1958. He rarely flaunts luxury. Result. He is admired, even revered, as the wise billionaire. Subtlety turned riches into respect. Cinematic beat. Loud riches provoke. Silent riches protect. Mini hook. Do you want envy or respect? Weapon 9. Presence as a weapon. If weakness leaks through posture, strength radiates through stillness. Shock story. Hannibal, even after defeat, walked with such composure that Rome feared his return. They remembered not just his battles, but his presence. His silence terrified more than armies. Cinematic beat. Stand tall, move slow, speak last. Mini hook. When you enter a room, do you shrink it or own it? The offensive Machiavellian. Now the 9 mistakes are reversed into weapons. Emotion, mask, noise to silence. Desperation, indifference, flattery, precision. Public attack, private destruction. Humor, dignity. Openness, mystery. Flaunting, subtlety. Weak presence, commanding aura. Cinematic beat. This is no longer survival. This is war, and war is won before swords are drawn. Toward legacy. But Machiavelli didn't stop at weapons. He wanted immortality. Legacy. The kind of presence that outlives your body, echoes long after your death. That's the final step, the final fortress, the final law. In the next part, we'll go beyond strategy, beyond survival, into the realm of legacy. How to craft a reputation so powerful it outlives you. Beyond survival. You've avoided the mistakes. You've turned them into weapons. But Machiavelli would ask, so what? Survival is temporary. Weapons rust. Empires crumble. Only one thing endures. Legacy. Mini-hook. When you leave the room, or the world, what story remains behind your name? Reputation. The army that never sleeps. Machiavelli called reputation the shield that protects when swords cannot. Armies march and die. Fortresses fall, but reputation, it travels. It defends you when you're absent. Shock story, the Medici family didn't just rule Florence with wealth, they ruled with name alone. Medici opened doors, silenced rivals, and bent the will of kings. Their reputation was a weapon sharper than steel. Cinematic beat, men obeyed the name. Before they saw the man. Mini-hook, right now. What does your name command? Respect, fear, or nothing at all? Narrative, the final weapon. The weak let others define them. The strong seize the pen. Shock story. Julius Caesar didn't wait for historians. He wrote the commentaries himself, turning his battles into legend. He painted himself invincible, and history believed him. Even today, we know his version, not his enemies. Cinematic beat. History doesn't remember truth. It remembers the story repeated most. Mini-hook. Are you writing your own legend or letting others write your obituary? Survival versus immortality. Survival is escaping defeat. Immortality is planting yourself so deep in the human mind that time cannot erase you. Machiavelli himself is proof. He died in exile, humiliated, stripped of power. But centuries later, his name is alive. His book, The Prince, is whispered in palaces, war rooms, and boardrooms. He lost his position, but he became eternal. Cinematic beat. The body dies. The name remains. Mini-hook. Will your legacy outlive your bones? Fear over love. Machiavelli's most ruthless insight. It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Love is fickle. It dissolves when you disappoint. But fear endures. It anchors itself in survival instinct. Even when people hate you, they hesitate to move against you if fear is stronger. Shock story. Genghis Khan was not beloved, but he was feared so deeply that entire cities surrendered without battle. His legacy still haunts history, not because of affection, but because of terror. Cinematic beat. Love fades. Fear echoes. Mini-hook. Do you want to be liked for a season or feared for centuries? The digital throne today, the Colosseum, is global. Cameras, memes, archives, they immortalize every gesture. Every breakdown becomes a viral humiliation. Every crack in presence becomes a meme. But every display of composure, mystery, and dominance, they, too, live forever. Shock story. In 2021, a single video of Jeff Bezos laughing awkwardly in space went viral, sparking mockery worldwide. Billions saw not his wealth, but his humanity and his ridicule. One clip reshaped perception. That is the danger of the digital throne. Cinematic beat. The internet is forever. So what version of you will it preserve? The fortress of legacy. Stone fortresses fall, but the Machiavellian fortress is built from reputation, mystery, and discipline. It is invisible, yet indestructible. Your fortress is forged from 9 stones. Emotion concealed, unreadable. Silence weaponized. Crushing. Indifference projected, magnetic. Compliments precise, binding. Destruction private, invisible. Speech dignified, respected, mystery guarded, feared, success subtle, admired, presence commanding, unforgettable, cinematic beat. With these, no blade can pierce you, no rumor can ruin you, no enemy can erase you. Mini Hook, are you building your fortress every day or waiting to be conquered? The Call to Power, this channel, Ruthless Psychology, exists for those who dare to face truth, for those who reject illusions of niceness and authenticity, and embrace the brutal reality of power. So I challenge you now, which of the 9 mistakes has haunted you most? Which weapon will you sharpen first? Do you agree with Machiavelli, or do you think he was too ruthless? Comment below, engage with this community of strategists. And if you're ready to go deeper, subscribe now. Because here, we don't just learn the rules, we master them, we bend them, we make them ours. Final word, remember this, in public, you are always performing, always judged, always one slip away from humiliation. So, guard your presence, control your image, command your narrative, and above all, rule your world like a prince.